New VR News.
Hey everyone, welcome to New VR News. I'm your host, OGY Zuko, and today we got some new fresh highlights in the VR space. To start us off, we have Among Us VR, which is getting made into Among Us 3D for PC to provide a first-person perspective for PC players to be cross-play with the VR players. So with Among Us VR. So that's pretty awesome, and it's eventually going to lead into them completely rebranding across the board to Among Us 3D so that they're crossplay between everything: Steam VR, PSVR 2, Quest, even Pico. Really the only thing that's going to be excluded is the 2D version of the game, but they've said that's to come in a couple months. And they're also going to be adding some new styles and cosmetics, in-game currency called Stardust, new limited time events, and a new game mode. And this is set to release sometime this year, but a limited demo will launch from February 24th to March 3rd. So make sure to check that out. I think that's pretty big. They're definitely making some good moves business-wise, I feel like, the people with Among Us VR. Anyway, moving on to number 2, Silent North, a VR zombie survival game from Combat Waffle Studios, makers of Ghost of Tabor, is set to come out to early access March 20th on Quest and Steam. So it looks pretty insane. It's a new PvPE VR shooter set in the Alps where you'll survive infected hordes of zombies and other survivors as you loot villages for supplies and manage basic needs like food and warmth. Pre-orders are online now for Quest for 15% off, and Steam is supposed to follow right at launch. But this looks pretty nice. It's going to add, I feel like, a new level to these Ghost of Tabor, Contractors, Exfil Zone type games that we got going on right now. Having zombies in the mix where you can also still kind of face enemy players or, work with them. I think that's going to be a fun dynamic and add some extra excitement to that kind of game. Anyway, moving on to number 3, Orion Drift. This is a pretty big one. Is coming real soon by another Axiom, the makers behind Gorilla Tag. It's going to be available in open early access for Quest users February 25th. Man, people have been waiting for this for a long time. Players will control like little robots with similar arm-based movement seen like in Gorilla Tag to explore kind of like this massive space station looking place and play a drift ball type game. So, and they've said it's going to be more than that too. Like, the lobbies are supposed to be very large, and this is just going to be exciting to see when this finally comes out. And moving on to number 4, this one is kind of more technical. We're going to put the link down below so you can read everything, because we're just kind of going to go over the main highlights here. But the Quest update v74 is bringing some much needed upgrades. To start us out, web shortcuts are now going to be allowed to add to the library. So like any web URL you can now put in your library to make it easily accessible. And then secondly, DisplayPort Out is now going to be available on the Quest to external displays via the USB-C port you got on the side. So now you can cast wired much more seamlessly to pretty much any monitor. And the other great thing is that that's also going to mean it's not affected by Wi-Fi at all. So if your internet's out, you can still get some real good gameplay footage if you don't like just using the Quest recording feature to, save yourself some extra processing power. Anyway, that's also going to lead to some very long requested reliability improvements to the wireless casting. And I'm very much hoping that that's also going to fix the audio desync that has been plaguing the Quest headsets pretty much since the Quest 1. I think it's a great feature to allow it, and it works very well. It doesn't feel like it impacts most games when you're recording, and it comes out very good. That's really the only issue, is just that audio desync and you having to go back into editing software after the fact and resync it. So really hope that also is going to fix that on the wireless end. But another thing about the update that's really cool is it's going to allow seamless multitasking. Well, that already was in an experimental mode, but now it's rolling out to everyone. So you can use apps like YouTube, Netflix while you're playing games. And I used to do that on my Xbox growing up, so it's pretty cool that now we have that in VR headsets. Wow. Anyway, moving on to our last thing. This is for some people who may be into the Neon Genesis Evangelion XR, field anime, but there is a game in development aiming to kick off a new trilogy based on the anime where you'll portray an original character, explore, a world based on the story, take on quests, and engage in thrilling battles, follow the timeline and key events of the anime. And yeah, not much else was confirmed, and no platforms even have been confirmed yet, but the first installment of the game is set for a 2026 launch, so that's coming a little bit later. But yeah, that's the first announcement of it, so that's where we're going to drop it, is right now. Thank you all, everyone, for watching. Please like the video, share it to anyone you think may be interested, so we can stay up to date, all of us who are interested in VR. And please subscribe down below if you're not already, so you yourself can stay up to date on these updates as they roll out. And thank y'all, everyone, for watching. Y'all have a blessed one. Goodbye. Evangelion